My husband told everyone at work he got promoted. He didn't. I found out by accident, and now I don't know if I should have kept my mouth shut. Okay, let me back up. My husband Mark is 34 and works in sales at this tech company. He's been there for 5 years, and honestly, he's always been a little insecure about his job. He compares himself to other guys constantly. It drives me crazy. Last month, he came home bouncing off the walls. He said he got the promotion he'd been chasing. Senior account manager. A raise. The whole thing. I was so excited for him. We celebrated. We told our families. His mom called me crying happy tears. But then 2 weeks later, I ran into his coworker Sarah at the grocery store. We got to talking, and she mentioned how much she was looking forward to the new senior account manager starting next month. Someone from outside the company. I just stared at her. I asked her what she meant. She looked confused and said Mark didn't get the job. He came in second. The position went to someone else. She felt bad bringing it up because Mark had seemed excited about it, but she didn't realize he hadn't told me. I drove home in complete shock. When Mark got home from work, I asked him point blank. At first he tried to dodge it. He said Sarah didn't know what she was talking about. But I pushed. I told him I knew the truth. Then he just broke. He sat on the couch and started crying. He said he couldn't stand the idea of telling me he didn't get it. He said he felt like such a failure. He said everyone at work probably knew he didn't make it, and he just wanted one thing to be proud of. So he lied. I didn't know what to say. Part of me felt bad for him, but part of me was angry. He lied to his whole family. He lied to me, his own wife. We talked about it. It wasn't a good talk. I told him he needed to tell his family the truth. He said he would, but he kept putting it off. Days went by. A week. Nothing. Then his mom called me asking about the promotion. When did it start? What was the salary? She was so proud, and I just snapped. I told her Mark didn't get it, that he came in second, that he'd been lying this whole time. Mark was furious. He said I had no right, that I embarrassed him, that I should have let him tell them himself. His mom called him crying and angry. She felt betrayed. His dad barely spoke to him for days. Now Mark is saying I stabbed him in the back. He says I made everything worse. He says if I just waited, he would have told them eventually, but I don't think he ever would have. I think he would have kept lying until it all came out on its own. But here's the thing that's eating at me. I didn't have to tell his mom. I could have sat down with Mark and said, you need to tell your family by Friday or I'm doing it. I could have given him a chance. Instead, I just did it when I was angry. He won't even look at me right now. We barely talk, and I'm starting to wonder if I was wrong. Was it my place to tell his family? Should I have let him handle it, even if it took longer? Or was I right to stop him from lying to everyone? I feel like I was trying to do the right thing, but I also feel like I went nuclear when I could have handled it better. I don't know if I'm the bad guy here. I found out my boyfriend of 5 years had a whole second relationship running in parallel with mine, and his new girlfriend has no idea he's still texting me. Let me back up. His name is Marcus. We met at work in 2019, started dating in 2020, and by 2023 I thought we were solid. We had plans. We talked about moving in together. I introduced him to my parents. He said he loved me. Then in March, I saw a text pop up on his iPad. He left it on the couch while he was in the shower. It was from someone named Jenna. The message said, "Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. Love you so much." My stomach dropped. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing, so I kept reading. There were hundreds of messages, love notes, inside jokes, photos I'd never seen before, plans for a weekend trip. Jenna thought they were exclusive. She thought they had a future together. When Marcus got out of the shower, I was sitting on the bed holding the iPad. His face went white. "How long?" I asked. "Babe, it's not what you think." "How long?" "Like, a year and a half." A year and a half, not a mistake, not a drunken kiss at a party, a full, planned, secret relationship with someone else while telling me he loved me every single day. I asked him questions I didn't want to know the answers to. "Do you love her?" He wouldn't answer. "Does she know about me?" "No." "How many times have you been with her?" He said he wasn't going to answer that. I told him to get out. He begged me not to do anything crazy. He said Jenna was just something that happened, that he didn't know how to stop it, that it didn't mean anything. If it didn't mean anything, I said, then why hide it for 18 months? He left. I cried for like 4 hours straight. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I created a fake Instagram account and found Jenna. She was pretty, young, maybe 24. She had photos with Marcus all over her feed, happy photos, date night photos, the kind of photos I thought Marcus and I had. I messaged her from the fake account. I told her who I was. I sent her screenshots of his messages to me from the past week, messages where he said he missed me, where he was planning a date with me for the following weekend. She didn't believe me at first. She asked for proof. I showed her everything, our photos together, our conversation history, the dates and times. Then she called Marcus. I don't know what they said because I wasn't there, but he called me back 10 minutes later, screaming. "What the hell did you do?" I told her the truth. "You had no right. You don't know her. You don't know anything about our situation." "Your situation? Marcus, you lied to both of us for almost 2 years. I know what I did was wrong, okay? But you didn't have to blow up my life like this. You blew up your own life the second you decided to have 2 girlfriends." I blocked his number. Jenna texted me the next day. She said she broke up with him. She said she felt sick thinking about all the times he lied to her face, all the times he said things that weren't true. She said she appreciated me telling her, even though it hurt like hell. Marcus tried contacting me through other numbers. He sent me emails saying he was sorry, that he made a huge mistake, that he wanted to talk about it, that we could work through this. I didn't respond. There's nothing to work through. Some things you can't come back from. Last month, I found out he's already dating someone new, a girl named Sarah. I don't know if she knows about me or Jenna. I don't know if she has any idea what kind of person he is. I'm not going to tell her. That's not my job anymore. But I do know Marcus, and I know he hasn't changed, and I know Sarah doesn't stand a chance. My mom's lawyer called me 3 days before the will reading and told me the original document was missing from the office safe. I didn't understand at first. I thought he meant misplaced. But when I asked him to explain, his voice got really quiet. The safe was locked, he said. No signs of break-in, but the envelope with your mother's will, dated last month, it's gone. We have a copy, but legally we have a problem. My mom had died 6 weeks ago. Cancer. Fast and brutal. She was 67. We were all still broken about it. My family is small. Just me, my brother Derek, and my sister Katie. Mom left the house worth about $1.2 million, plus her savings, her jewelry, and her car. The will was supposed to be read on Friday. It was already Tuesday. I called Derek right away. He picked up in like 2 seconds. Did Mom's lawyer call you? I asked. Yeah, that's weird, right? Why would the will just disappear? I have no idea. Did you go see the lawyer yet? Not yet. I'm at work. Why? Are you worried? I didn't want to sound paranoid, but I was worried. Mom's estate was the only real money any of us had. Derek worked retail. Katie was a teacher. I was still paying off student loans. This house, this money, it mattered. I'm going to the lawyer's office tomorrow, I said. I want to see the copy of the will. Make sure everything's okay. Derek didn't say anything for a second. You think someone took it? I don't know, but I want to check. I went to the lawyer's office the next morning. Mr. Chen, the estate lawyer, was this older guy in a dark suit. He looked stressed. He pulled out the copy of the will and slid it across the desk. I read it. The house was split 3 ways, equal shares of the money too. Everything felt fair. Everything felt like Mom. This is the copy she approved? I asked. Yes, she signed it in my office, October 14th. I have the signature page. And the original was in the safe the whole time? Yes, until Tuesday morning, when I went to pull it for the reading. I looked at him. Who has access to the safe? Just me, and my partner Alice. She's been with me for 12 years. That's when something clicked. I knew Alice. She came to Mom's funeral. I remembered because she brought a casserole and cried a little, which seemed weird for someone who was just a lawyer's assistant. Where is Alice today? I asked. Mr. Chen's face changed. She called in sick. First time in 3 years. I felt my stomach tighten. I didn't say anything, just nodded and left. That night, I called Derek and Katie, told them what I found. Wait, so you think Alice stole the will? Katie said. Why would she do that? I don't know, but why would she be sick right after it goes missing? That could be a coincidence, Derek said, but he didn't sound like he believed it. I decided to do something I probably shouldn't have. I looked up Alice's Facebook, and I found something that made my hands shake. Alice had posted a picture from a beach, somewhere tropical. The caption said, finally taking that trip I've been dreaming about. The date stamp was from yesterday. I called Mr. Chen back. Is Alice supposed to be out of town? There was a long pause. Then he said, no, she was not. I told Derek and Katie. We decided to go to the will reading anyway on Friday. See what Mr. Chen said. See if he'd filed a police report. But Thursday night, Katie texted the family group chat. One message. I just got a call from someone who says they have the original will. They want to meet me alone tomorrow before the reading. They said if I tell anyone, they'll destroy it. My phone started ringing. It was Derek. Did you see what Katie just posted? Yeah. What do we do? Before I could answer, another text came through. This one was a picture. It was the original will, but there was something wrong with it. The signature page looked different, the names looked different, and then a final text from an unknown number to all 3 of us. Your mother's real will is the one I have. The copy is a fake. You have until tomorrow morning to meet with me, alone, or I'm going to the cops. My neighbor demanded I pay for her son's college tuition because I mentioned my kid got a scholarship. Let me back up. I'm Sarah, 42, and I live in a normal suburban neighborhood with my husband Mike and our daughter Emma, who just turned 18. Emma worked her butt off in high school. 4.0 GPA, volunteer work, sports, the whole thing. She got into state university and earned a full ride scholarship. Full tuition, rooming board, everything covered. We were so proud. One Saturday morning, I'm out watering my plants in the front yard when my neighbor Karen pulls up in her car. Karen has a son, Tyler, who's also 18. Nice kid, but Karen is, a lot. She's the type of person who yells at her kids in the grocery store and blames everyone else for her problems. Karen gets out of her car and walks over to my fence. She's got this look on her face. Hey Sarah, I heard Emma got into state. Yeah, she did, and she got a full scholarship too. We're really happy for her. That's when Karen's face changed, like a switch flipped. That's amazing. Tyler got into state too. His tuition is $28,000 a year. 4 years is $112,000 total. You should help us pay for it. I just stared at her. I'm sorry, what? Well, Emma got help from the school. It's only fair that you help Tyler since you're doing so well. You're lucky. You should share your luck. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Karen, that's not how scholarships work. Emma earned hers. She worked for 4 years to get that. We didn't pay the school. The school gave it to her because of her work. Yeah, but you're still saving money. You can afford to help. I'm a single mom. Tyler's dad doesn't help. This is your chance to do something good. I took a breath. I was trying to be nice. I'm sorry about your situation, but no, that's not my responsibility. Emma worked for her scholarship. Tyler needs to apply for scholarships, take out loans, or you need to figure out a payment plan. But I'm not paying for your son's college. Karen got angry. Her voice got louder. You know what? That's selfish. That's really selfish. Emma's your kid, so of course you want the best for her. But some of us aren't lucky. Some of us need help, and you're just going to sit there and pretend you don't have the money? I never said I don't have the money. I said it's not my responsibility. This is why people hate rich people. You get everything and you won't help anyone else. You're a bad person, Sarah. She turned around and walked back to her car. I stood there with my garden hose, just shocked. But that wasn't the end. Over the next 2 weeks, Karen showed up at my house 3 more times. Once she brought Tyler with her. She had him stand there while she asked again. I said no again. Then she started texting me. asking me to reconsider, saying I was a terrible neighbor, saying I was teaching Emma to be selfish, saying she was going to tell everyone in the neighborhood how mean I was. I finally had enough. I screenshotted all the texts, all of them. Then I sent an email to the HOA with the screenshots and a timeline of every time she came to my house and asked. I explained that her requests had become harassing and that I wanted it documented. The HOA president called me 2 days later. He said he'd already gotten complaints from 3 other neighbors about Karen doing the same thing, asking them for money, threatening them. One neighbor said Karen demanded they pay for Tyler's car because their son had a car. The HOA sent Karen a formal letter. 1 more complaint and she'd be fined. 1 more visit to someone's house asking for money and she'd be facing legal action for harassment. I haven't seen Karen in the yard since. Tyler left for community college. He's probably going to transfer to state in 2 years. He'll pay for it himself, or take out loans like most people do. Emma moved into her dorm last month. She's thriving, and I don't feel guilty for 1 second. My coworker Sarah stole every major project I created for 5 years and presented it as her own work to our CEO. I worked at a marketing firm called Bright Media. It was a good job. I made decent money, had benefits, the usual stuff. But there was Sarah. She was hired the same time I was, and we sat in the same pod of desks. We weren't friends, but we weren't enemies either, or so I thought. I started noticing things after about 6 months. I'd finish a campaign proposal. Really good work. I'd leave it on my desk to print it out. Then Sarah would ask me about it. Just casual questions. What's the strategy here? How are you targeting this demo? I'd explain it all because I was young and dumb and thought she just wanted to learn. Then our boss would call a meeting, and Sarah would present my campaign. Exact same angles, exact same data, exact same creative direction. But it had her name on it. The first time I said something, I went to her desk. I said, "Hey, that campaign I showed you last week, that was my work." She just looked at me. "I know, I just took your idea and expanded on it. That's how ideas work. Someone builds on them." "No, that's not what happened. You copied it." She smiled. "Prove it." "Not really. There were no timestamps, no emails. I'd just been talking through my ideas with her like an idiot. So I let it go. Big mistake." It happened again and again and again. Over 5 years, Sarah presented at least 12 major campaigns as her own work. She got promoted twice. She got raises. She got recognition from the CEO. Meanwhile, I was stuck in the same position, the same salary, watching her climb. But I was smart about what came next. I started documenting everything, every idea, every concept, every strategy. I'd send her emails saying, "Here's the campaign I'm working on for the Johnson account. Thoughts?" And I'd CC myself on drafts. I created a shared folder with timestamps. For 2 years, I built an ironclad record of every single project she stole. Then I made copies, printed them all out, organized them chronologically, added notes about when each was presented and who actually created it. One day, Sarah got called into the CEO's office. She thought it was good news. She came back looking confused, then angry, then scared. I had sent the entire file to the CEO. Every campaign, every email, every timeline, all of it. I included a letter explaining that I'd been watching this happen for 5 years, that I had documentation, that I wanted either credit for my work or a settlement for lost wages and promotions. Sarah tried to fight it. She said I was lying. She said she did her own work. But the CEO had the emails, he had the dates, he had the original files with my work saved under my user account from years back. Here's where it got good. The CEO called in the company lawyers. They looked at every single project Sarah had ever presented, and they found that almost 70% of her major work wasn't hers. It was stolen from me or 2 other junior employees. Sarah was fired. Not just fired, she was fired with cause, for theft of intellectual property. Her severance was nothing. She got a bad reference, and because the CEO decided to make an example, he contacted other marketing firms in the city and told them why she was fired. Sarah couldn't get hired anywhere, not for years. She had to move to a different state to find work. Even then, she was stuck in entry-level positions. All those promotions and raises she got on stolen work? Gone. The reputation she built? Destroyed. I got a promotion. I got back pay for 2 of those years. I got a public apology from the CEO in front of the whole office. And I got to watch Sarah walk out with a box of her stuff, crying. She tried to sue me for defamation. Her lawyer sent a letter, but she had nothing. The evidence was all real. The timestamps were all real. She lost that case too. Last I heard, she was working at a call center, making $12 an hour. 5 years of stealing got her nowhere in the end. My neighbor built a 6-foot fence right down the middle of my yard without asking. And when I told him to remove it, he laughed in my face. Let me back up. I'm Tom. I'm 42, and I've owned my house in Riverside for 8 years. It's a quiet street, or it was until Derek moved in next door 2 years ago. Derek's the type of guy who thinks rules don't apply to him. He parks his truck on the grass, his dogs bark all night, and he's always doing some loud construction project. One Saturday morning in May, I woke up to the sound of a nail gun. I looked out my bedroom window and saw Derek and his buddy building a fence. Not on his property, on mine. The fence line was literally 3 feet into my yard. I threw on some clothes and walked over. "Hey Derek, what are you doing?" He turned around, still holding the nail gun. "Building a fence." "Yeah, I can see that, but it's on my property." He looked at me like I was crazy. "No, it's not. Derek, the property line is marked. The survey stakes are right there." I pointed to the wooden stakes in the ground. He waved his hand. Those are old. I got a new surveyor out here. He said the line was different. You hired a surveyor without talking to me? I don't need your permission to survey my own property. I took a breath. You need permission to build on my property, and you're building on my property. Stop. He put the nail gun down. Look, Tom, this fence is going up. My dogs need a space. If you don't like it, call someone. So I did. I called the city the next Monday. The inspector came out Wednesday and took photos. He told me Derek had never pulled a permit, and the fence was indeed 3 feet over the line. The city issued Derek a stop work order. Derek showed up at my door that night. Serious. What the hell did you do? I reported an unpermitted structure on my property. You called the city on me? Over a fence? Over a fence on my property. Yes. He stepped closer. You know what? I'm going to take down this fence, and then I'm going to build it 2 feet further into my side. But I'm going to build a bigger one, 8 feet. You're going to stare at a wall for the rest of your life. That's your choice. He did exactly what he said. Tore down the fence, moved it, and built an 8-foot-tall monstrosity that blocked my sunlight and made my backyard feel like a prison yard. But here's the thing. He still needed a permit for that fence, and this time he tried to pull one. The city inspector came back and noticed something. Derek's new fence line was perfectly legal, but when the inspector looked at his property records, he found something interesting. Derek's property line was actually 18 inches different from what Derek thought. Derek had been parking his truck on the city easement for 2 years. His entire back patio was on city land. The city told Derek he had 30 days to remove the patio or face a fine of $500 a day. Then they told him his fence, even in its new location, violated a local ordinance about maximum fence height in residential areas. 8 feet was 2 feet too tall. Derek had to tear it all down. The patio, the fence, everything. He paid about $8,000 to remove it all. I haven't heard from him since. He keeps his dogs inside now, and the property line between our houses, it's just grass, no fence at all. He finally hired a real surveyor, and turns out I was right the whole time. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting the rules do their job. My boss took credit for my promotion. I got him fired and took his job. I worked at a marketing firm called Pinnacle Digital for 6 years. My name is Marcus. I'm 34, and I was a senior strategist. I was good at my job, really good. I brought in 3 major clients in 1 year, a tech company, a retail chain, and a bank. Those accounts were worth almost $2 million in revenue. My boss was Derek. He was 52, lazy, and he had a problem with me. I think he saw me as a threat. He made maybe 40 grand more than me, but he didn't do much. He took long lunches, left early on Fridays, and spent most of his time in meetings where he talked about other people's work. When the promotion came up for regional director, I applied. It was a big jump. The job paid 95 grand plus bonus. I had done the work. I had the clients. I had the numbers. My team loved me. People actually wanted to work with me. Then Derek called me into his office. Marcus, I need to talk to you about the director position, he said, leaning back in his chair like he owned the place. Okay, what's up? I'm going for it too. But here's the thing. I'm going to tell them that those clients you brought in, that was a team effort. My guidance, my direction. You were just the face of it. I stared at him. You're joking. Not joking. If you want to stay in this company, you back off. Let me have this one. You're young. You'll get other chances. I felt my chest get tight. Derek, that's not how this works. Those were my campaigns, my ideas, my clients. Were they? He smiled. Who's your boss? That's when I knew. He was going to screw me. The next week, Derek went to the CEO and the board. I found out later through a friend in HR that he presented all my work as his own. He said he had mentored me and directed the strategy. He said I was just executing his vision. They gave him the job. I was so angry I could barely see straight. But I didn't blow up. I didn't yell at him. I got smart. I started documenting everything. Every email, every text, every message showing that my ideas were mine. I went through 3 years of files and pulled out proof. Emails where I pitched ideas to Derek. Emails where he forwarded my work to clients with his name on it. Slack messages where I explained my strategy, and he just said, looks good. Then I called a lawyer. A good one. I told him everything. He said Derek had stolen intellectual property. The campaigns, the client strategies, the creative work. It was all mine. It was in my contract. Derek had violated company policy by taking credit. He'd also violated the intellectual property agreement with the clients. I filed a complaint with the board, not just about the promotion, about 3 years of stolen work. I provided all the documentation. I had emails, timestamps, and proof. They looked at every campaign Derek had been involved in over the past 5 years. They found the same pattern again and again. Work that other people did. Work that Derek claimed as his own. Work that he got paid for. 2 weeks later, Derek was fired. Not just fired. They discovered he had also been billing hours he didn't work and claiming client meetings that never happened. It was fraud. He got a severance, but he also got sued. The clients sued because the work they paid for wasn't actually directed by Derek. It was directed by me. They wanted refunds. The company settled for $450,000. And the director position, they offered it to me. I took it. 95 grand plus a 20% bonus. Derek called me once after it happened. How could you do this to me? How could you do it to yourself? I said. You had a good job. You just had to not be a thief. I hung up. Last I heard, he was working at a small firm, making half what he used to make. His reputation in the industry is destroyed. No one wants to hire someone who steals credit and lies to clients. I got my promotion. I got his job. And he got exactly what he deserved.